Short exercise 21-15. We're going to calculate the break-even point, but this time it's going to be for a company with 2 products instead of 1 product. Soak and Fun Swim Park sells individual and family tickets. With a ticket, each person receives a meal, 3 beverages, and unlimited use of the swimming pools. Soak and Fun has the following ticket prices and variable costs. So now the cost for these meals, 3 beverages, and unlimited use of the swimming pools, those are already calculated in the variable cost and the fixed cost. So we don't have to worry about these detail about the meal, 3 beverages, and swimming pools. So here's their 2 products. They sell a ticket for the individual, and they sell a ticket for a family. And here's the sales price, $40, $120, and the variable cost per ticket, $25 and $100. So our goal is to calculate the total number of tickets Soak and Fun must sell to break even. In other words, we're doing our normal break even. And since it's asking for the total number of tickets, we would normally use the required sales in units formula, which is fixed cost plus target profit divided by contribution margin per unit. The only difference is, since this company has multiple products, the contribution margin per unit is going to be the weighted average contribution margin per unit. So what that means is we calculate the contribution margin for each of these tickets, and then we're going to multiply them by the ratio that they sell the tickets. And here's the ratio that they sell the tickets at. The company expects to sell 1 individual ticket for every 4 family tickets. So that means for every 5 tickets that they sell, 4 plus 1, they will sell 1 individual ticket and 4 family tickets. So requirement 1, compute the weighted average contribution margin per ticket. So we're going to calculate the contribution margin per ticket first. So remember, the contribution margin per unit, which is per ticket, is right here, unit contribution margin. So it's the sales revenue per unit minus the variable cost per unit. So we're going to have the sales price per unit minus the variable cost per unit. So the individual ticket, the sales price is $40. And for the family ticket, the sales price is $120. And then the variable cost for the individual is $25. And for the family, it's $100. So once you subtract the variable cost from the sales price, that gives us our contribution margin per unit. So we get $15 here and $20 here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to multiply those contribution margins by the sales mix in units. So remember, they don't sell half individual and half family. The ratio is back up here. They expect to sell 1 individual ticket for every 4. So we're going to multiply the individual by 1 and then the family tickets by 4. Why? Because they expect to sell 4 family tickets to every 1 individual ticket. So the total is just 1 plus 4, so that's 5. So again, what this means is that for every 5 tickets they sell, 1 is the individual and 1 is the family ticket. Now we're going to calculate the contribution margin, which notice it says multiply. So 15 times 1 is 15. 20 times 4 is 80. So we just add these 2 up to get the total, so that's 95. So in other words, oops, I screwed up. So this is 5. So what this means is that for every 5 tickets they sell, they're going to get a total contribution margin of $95. So what is the average? That's what we want to calculate here now, is the weighted average. So out of every 5 tickets, of which 4 will be the family, 1 is the individual, we get a total of $95 of contribution margin. But what is that per ticket? So we're going to take 95 divided by 5. $95 divided by 5 gives us $19 weighted average contribution margin per unit. In other words, per ticket. The next step is we're going to calculate the total number of tickets Soken Fund must sell to break even. So we're just going back to our break even, which is this formula. Notice it says required sales in units. So required sales in units. So we're using this formula. The only difference is since this company has multiple products, we're going to use the average weighted contribution margin, or the weighted average contribution margin. So the formula is fixed costs plus target divided by weighted average contribution margin. Fixed costs plus target profit divided by weighted average contribution margin per unit. Contribution margin means, or CM means contribution margin. So next, we're going to find our fixed costs, which are right here, $176,000. And our target profit is 0. How do we know it's 0? Because they're asking us to calculate the break-even point. Break-even means 0 profit, 0 operating income. And then we're going to divide by the weighted average contribution margin unit, which is right here, 19. So let's do the math. We're going to take 76,000 plus 0 divided by 19 gives us 4,000 tickets. So what this means is for this company to break even, they must sell 4,000 tickets. Now the next question is they're saying, well, if we need to sell 4,000 tickets, how many of them are going to be the individual ticket and how many are going to be the family tickets? So the way you do that is we're just going to take the number of tickets required to break even, so 4,000, and then then multiply by the proportion of the sales mix. In other words, what percentage of their tickets are individual tickets? Remember, up here it says they sell one individual ticket for every 4 family. So in other words, out of every 5 tickets, 4 plus 1, one of them is an individual ticket. And out of every 5, 4 of them are family tickets. We could also just be multiplying, instead of multiplying by 1/5, this turns out to be 20%. So we just take $4,000 times 20%. That's the same thing. So let's do the break-even sale in tickets for individual. We're going to take 4,000 divided by 5. Gives us 800. So that means out of these 4,000 tickets, 800 of them are going to be individual tickets. And we can just figure out what the family tickets are going to be right here. So to calculate the family tickets, you could take 4,000 minus 800 gives us 3,200 tickets, because these two combined have to equal 4,000. But let's do the math just to check. So we can take 4,000 times 4 divided by 5. 4,000 times 4 equals divided by 5 equals 3,200. So that makes sense. So our work checks out. So always double check your work. This company needs to sell 4,000 tickets to break even. And when they sell those 4,000 tickets, assuming this ratio up here holds true, 800 of them will be individual tickets and 3,200 will be family tickets.